Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic indie creator interview. It's your Cape Crusader Code, and we're keeping it geekly with two new guests. We have Stephen Kaul and Lyndon Radchenka. Sorry about that. We're here to break down the Laundrymen and everything in between. And before we wash up and get to hunting some monsters, let's start with some introduction. How are you two doing? Welcome to the stream.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. It's great to be here. Nice little live stream on the day. It's kind of fun. Really thankful that you're having us on here. It's awesome. Thanks so much, Cody.
Yeah. Whew, chills. You know, we went live. Kickstarter kicked off, just over 30 minutes ago. So it feels like this is the launch party. So it's nice. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
I was
texting Lyndon, being like, "Where's the videos? Where's the videos?"
Yeah, I was
social media. Yeah,
I was doing my homework and I was researching this morning. And I'm like, oh, they're going live like today, like right at the rip. Let's get this party started. For everyone that is in the chat, right here is the link. Be sure to check this out. Simply, putting this on Facebook, Twitter, anywhere you can. Word of mouth is 100% free. But it, of course, is a couple days after New Comic Book Day. So treat yourself by backing this awesome book. I had the chance to read it, and this was phenomenal. We have Lyndon on script and letters, and Stephen on art. And man, this was just an awesome book. Can you guys give us a little bit about how you got into creating comics and what led to the Laundrymen?
Yeah, we've been creating comics for a little while. Me personally, I got into comics after like a bit of a hiatus from art. I did my Bachelor of Fine Arts degree at our local university, and it basically killed the concept for me. And then at some point, you meet someone like Lyndon, and you start talking about comics a whole bunch. You go to a big comic convention, and all of a sudden you find a creative outlet, and you want to make comics, and it's just basically been that ever since.
So
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
I was going to ask. So, Stephen, some of your earliest works as an artist, what did that look like for you jumping into the comic scene for the first time? Did you, right off the rip, start working with Lyndon, or was there any other projects that you were doing beforehand?
Well, there was this comic I made in the second grade. It was about this fictional son of Pac-Man, and I don't know where that is. I think my mom's got it. But ever since then, nothing really. My first real comic I made was with Lyndon. Was it called
Pac-Son?
It's called Kid Pac.
Okay.
Son, I wasn't that clever back then. That's a good idea. Sequel time.
That's giving me some vibes. I remember being a kid playing on the Sega The Adventures of Pac-Man, and all I could envision, oh my god, I would have done the same thing, after playing that game, doing a little spin-off like that. That's cool though, and that really goes to show you the creative cogs were churning, at such an early age. Lyndon, what about you? What was some of your first steps into the comic scene?
Okay, well, like most 90s kids, I grew up watching cartoons, right? So it was Batman, the animated series, Spider-Man, X-Men, all those greats. And I'd pick up the occasional comic, but I didn't like to read all that back then. So not even comics. It wasn't until I was in sort of my late teens that, I'd been enjoying superhero stuff since I was born, and realized that the source material, the real stories, they all come from the comic books. And so I went and I started picking up comics, I don't know, when I was 17 or 18. So it was right about when the New 52 kicked out from DC. So one of the first books I picked up was Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo's Batman. And then I was sort of off to the races from there. I didn't actually get involved in making comics for another 5 years or so after that. And it was because I had done an English degree at the university here, and then I'd moved away to law school. And in the middle of my first year, I realized I was missing some sort of creative outlet. I'd gone from it being all I thought about for school to never. And luckily, I'd known Stephen for a couple of years at that time, and he asked me if I'd be interested in making a comic with him. And as all writers know, if an artist asks you to make a comic with them, you say yes.
Yeah, you got to.
Yeah.
No, I think that was
started.
Pretty funny too, how you said you didn't realize a lot of work comes from books and comics. I didn't either. I didn't realize how many of these movies I grew up loving were formed from a book, or how many movies out there have a book behind them. Even Fight Club has a freaking book behind it. I never even knew about that. We have Dr. Hino 419 stopping in on YouTube saying, "Afternoon, gentlemen. Welcome to the stream, Dr. Hino. Thank you for joining us." So, man, you said you're doing this in the middle of law school?
I started in the middle of law school.
Wow.
Yeah, I graduated now. I wrote the bar and passed and all that, but I needed some sort of distraction when I was in law school, and so making comics became it.
So, Steven, you made that call saying like, "Hey, let's make a comic." What did that day look like? What was leading up to that moment?
I was thinking about, as we were talking the other day, and I was trying to remember that some stuff kind of came back to me, and I think, and Lyndon can correct me, but that was, I had started doing, so I took a break from art inadvertently. Then when I started coming back, I was doing these like traditional like acrylic paintings, and then I realized I could do like really quick stuff, like really fast. So I started getting tables at local shows and basically saying, hey, $30, I'll paint you whatever you want. And then Lyndon was also volunteering at these shows. And then at the first local show called Fan Quest, the first one, I had done the art for the t-shirts that they were giving out. And I had made up a couple characters on there. And Lyndon and I got to talking about making comics again. And I was like, I have an idea like for these characters. And then we were kind of off to the races. Like, that's really how we make the books. Like, someone comes up with an idea and then we just tear it down and build it into a story, usually that same day. Or it's like, are we going to the comic book store on Friday? It's like, yeah, okay, we'll figure it out then. And we do it that way.
And so it's like a marathon until the story's done, right?
Yeah.
We have Kayla Corwin over on YouTube stopping in and say that sounds like the start of an epic biop, lawyer by day, comic book creator by night. Haha, congratulations. Yeah, congratulations on getting the bar as well. So, Lyndon, what was that for you, getting approached with this idea and having to come up with a script, not really having done a whole lot of that before?
Well, luckily I had a background in theater. So I found that reading theater scripts, you learn a lot about dialogue. And so I really like to think that it gave me an ear for that sort of writing. And there's obviously trial and error as you go through it, but I don't know. I'm never going to say it came naturally, because that is never true for anything, I feel like. But I made it work. You make it work. When you want to do something, you figure out a way to make it work. And the nice thing about comics is, there's no template, there's no standard for scripting. It's whatever the artist wants. Like the comic script, as a friend of ours, Jonathan, likes to say, a comic script is not a literary document. It's not like a novel. I'm literally just writing to Steven. He's the only one who is ever going to have to see it. So as long as it does what it needs to for him, then it's good enough.
No, that's perfect. We actually have Mama Geekly over on Facebook stopping in to ask, how do you think of the characters, how they should look? So, Steven, when you came up with those original characters, what was your thought process, when designing them?
Well, I wasn't a big comic reader and stuff growing up. A lot like Lyndon, I watched the Spider-Man shows, I watched the X-Men shows, but moreover, I was like, I've been a movie guy. Like, my brothers and I, we've been watching movies like crazy growing up. And so whenever I think of like the visual of the comic, my brain goes straight to like, who would play this guy in a movie? And I think of like the attitude of the character and how I want them to look. Or I've just got an actor in my head who I'm like, I would love him to play one of my characters sometime in the future. So it starts off with like trying to draw that person, but then through all the mistakes and changes and stuff that I make throughout drawing the character, that person's face morphs into the person in the book. And that's like literally how I do it every time. It's just like, I think they're going to be this person. That's who's going to play him. And then it's like, I don't care about likeness, and I'll just try my best to draw that guy.
So, Lyndon, back to you. I know you're not only the writer, but also the letterer. Was this kind of right when you first started lettering as well? When you guys first started creating this book?
Yeah, so our first book, Infinite Universe, what had happened was I ended up doing the script and I handed the pages off to Steven, obviously, to do the artwork. And art is such a labor-intensive project that I really felt like I needed to do more to contribute to a real, fair, collaborative relationship. And that's when I decided I was going to learn how to letter the book also. So I ended up reading a whole bunch of online resources. There was a really cool online class, quote unquote class, it was like a webinar by John Rochel of Comic Craft that taught me sort of the basics of lettering. And then what better way to learn how to letter than to letter your own book 5 or 6 times through. So I did that a handful of times, and from there I just kept looking for more and more lettering work, and here we are.
My handwriting is the absolute worst. So hearing that's how you got into it, I'm just like, wow, like I could do that. But after 5 or 6 times, I'm sure the artist would be like, please, no more.
Lyndon's great with a pen, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, let's be clear here. I am not a hand letterer. The whole thing is digital these days. If I tried to hand letter, I'd be ruining artwork left and right.
So making it better.
What is the Laundrymen about? Now that we kind of have a good idea how you two met, how this came about, I know you were juggling 2 like ideas, which we'll get to the one idea afterwards. But give us a little bit about what the Laundrymen is about, and the concept behind it.
I'll go. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. We've been throwing this one back and forth. So, well, the Laundrymen is a monster of the week type story that follows 2 mercenary monster hunters as they travel across the country, cleaning up supernatural messes. They work out of their laundromat, which kind of poses as their laundering facility, but also the front for their business, so they can kind of stay in the background. It's, I guess the way I would describe it is it's a little bit of Ghostbusters meets X-Files meets Supernatural, with a heavy dose of black suits and cigarettes thrown in there. So, pretty awesome.
I loved it. I had the chance to read it, and it was such a phenomenal read. Steven, real quick, do you have some special AI software that like follows you, like with your camera?
It's not supposed to do that so often, but no, I have NVIDIA Broadcast. It's just like an RTX card. So, and then like it's like,
yeah. Yeah, I'm just like sitting here. I'm like, dude, like I thought I had somewhat of a cool setup, but like his camera is following him. Like, oh my god,
it's just super sensitive software. It's I gotta keep my head still.
So we have some questions over in chat. Who are some of the idols or people that you guys looked up to within the comic industry? As you were following your own journeys, like were there anyone that you kind of looked off of or worked off of?
Yeah, so Steven and I have talked about this before, and I think it works on a few different levels, because there's the people that help you and you look up to sort of within your local community, and then there's like aspirational people that you look up to in the comics industry. So from in that sense, one of my aspirational comics idols was, as I said earlier, Scott Snyder as a comics writer. And he was kind enough to read this book for us and actually blurb it for us.
Wow.
Yeah. So in his own words, and I have the quote open, obviously obsessively checking the Kickstarter page. It said what he had to say about it was that Laundrymen has it all: horror, adventure, mystery, and heart. Down and dirty monster hunting with a fresh and clean twist. Kaul and Radchenka have made one fun, twisted ride. 100% deserves your support. And the fact that someone like, one of the first writers that I read coming into comics has taken the time to read our book and say something nice about it is so incredible. And we're forever thankful for that. So he would definitely be up there. In our local scene, 2 of the guys that really helped Steven and I get started were a couple of good friends of ours now, Justin Curry and Gregory Kmichuk, known as GMB Kmichuk and Chasing Artwork. And they're 2 local comics makers that have been nothing and have been right from the beginning nothing but supportive and really helped us on our own comics journey. So not to steal your answers, Steven.
Oh, sure.
No, that's
I think you're going to continue. I was like, yeah. Well, but like, I like, especially with those 2, if we're talking at the local level, I always like to tell people when they're trying to get into comics to look towards your local community, because there's always going to be people there, whether they're at a higher level or at your level, but that are trying to make comics. And that's where you're going to build your foundation, is with the people around you. And so, those 2, like Gregory Kmichuk, Justin Curry, just to help, whether it was just we took their local course on making comics versus all the help and support, and by now that we've given each other with everything that we're doing, ultimately culminating in making Dead Work one of the anthologies we've been a part of. But if I had to look inspirational, it would. There's a lot out there, but what I like to tell people is like in style. Jack Kirby would definitely be one. I tend to tell people, like, I don't know if this is true, but like I've heard this, that Jack Kirby would pull off something like 72 pages per month.
Wow.
And if that's real or not, that has always dictated how I do my work, where it's like I should always be striving to do more. And if something I'm trying to incorporate into my style is adding like an hour to a panel, then it's the wrong thing to do. So I push forth that way. And then a big thing too, a lot of my aspirational people are like style based, but it'd be like Tom King and Mitch Garrett's, which their book Mr. Miracle was a huge influence on us making our first book, even right down to doing like too many 9-panel pages. And what was so cool is those guys actually picked up our book in Toronto last year, which was...
Oh, no, that's awesome, dude.
It was so cool.
That's so cool. So this is such an awesome concept. Like I said, I had the chance to read it, and I loved every bit of it. With the Monster of the Week, how long can we expect this series to run on for? It seems like you kind of have like a nice little thing set up to where you can introduce so many different monsters, like, each issue.
Yeah, we like to say that we do have an ending in mind. We know how we want this series to end, but the way that it's structured is we can make that journey sort of go as long as we want it to. So really, as long as people are happy to read the book, we're going to keep making them. We're already in the midst of working on book 2, and then we'll be working on book 3. So we're going to keep going until people get sick of reading them, but there is an ending in mind. That's all I can really say about it.
Yeah, and that Monster of the Week structure was kind of like by design. It's worked so well. It's a tried and true thing with television, with comics. So us being able to introduce new themes and new worlds, and it allows you to, like, if your readers are bored, like, just blow out a hole in the universe and go to another dimension. It allows you to do that kind of a thing. But the aim with Laundrymen is to keep it very like focused on the guys and show at least for them, a very lived in supernatural and horror world where they know about all this stuff. So just through their actions, the reader's learning, but like for them, it's always been there. So, yeah.
Yeah. And so the viewer understands like the structure. The book that we're kickstarting right now at laundrymen.ca, it contains the first 3 issues of the series. So it's about 80 pages, and it tells the complete first case of the Laundrymen. So it's like a closed story. Okay. People can pick up just the first book, and they're going to have a resolution, and then they can continue on with it, or they can not continue on with it. But that's sort of going to be the structure that we want to keep going forward, is we plan on telling 3-issue stories as arcs, so that people can join in the series whenever they want, and it doesn't feel like a super daunting task trying to keep up. So it's because of that, we feel that this was really the structure that we wanted to go with this project. And I think that 80 pages, especially when it comes to a Kickstarter, it's a lot harder to necessarily back like a 22-page floppy book. I personally have a preference. I'd rather pick up a full book if I can. And we were lucky enough that we were able to finish this book, and now we're just looking for funds to print it. So we really hope that anyone who's on the stream will go check it out, and check out the video we made, which is sort of us just clowning around for 2 minutes, but it was a ton of fun.
Real quick before we switch over to the Kickstarter, we have a good question over on YouTube from Kayla. My apologies if this has been addressed, Stephen, but how long did the process take from when you first started talking to Lyndon about creating a comic book to getting it on Kickstarter? So from the very start of it to today, how long has that been? So for Laundrymen,
Laundrymen has been an idea that was like percolating for a while. Like we had a concept for Laundrymen that was actually not even codename. It was called Wilstead, and you'll see in the book there's hints to the town name, which is Wilstead, and that's kind of a throwback to this. which was where that original concept was. But then, through my own stuff, I ended up taking about a 6-month break from comics and kind of like let Lyndon go free. And then I started to have major comics withdrawals, so I was like, no, I can't do this. So I came back.
You got to reel him back in, huh?
Yeah. And then I think once I actually don't know. It's maybe like I can think of total like work hours, but a couple years. You think, Lyndon? How long were we working on Laundrymen to the point where we like finished book 1?
I think we started on issue 1, which is the first 22 pages back in early 2020.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then we finished issue 1, and we sort of took our time to start issues 2 and 3. But last year, 2022, we printed out the first issue of Laundrymen, and we printed it in black and white. And we only printed 100 copies of it, and we took it with us to shows because Stephen and I like to go to conventions and table. And we sold out of our 100 copies in 3 shows, which was a great indicator for us that this was an idea that we loved and other people might like too.
Mm-hmm.
And that it was at one of those shows that, as Stephen said, Tom King and Mitch Gerrits picked up the Laundrymen issue 1 in black and white, which was super awesome.
You knew you had to take it when that happened. It's like we got to do this. We got to see this through the end.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have Kayla saying, if you love something, let it go. If it's meant to be, it'll come back for both comics and Lyndon. So right now is the perfect segue. Let's go ahead and pull up the Kickstarter, guys. We are looking at the Laundrymen Book 1, The Life Thief, an ongoing comic series about 2 mercenary monster hunters who operate out of a laundromat. So currently at $207 of a $1,875 goal. 6 backers already with 27 days left to go and literally just hit launch. So off to a good start already. How are you guys feeling? Are you feeling stressed? Like, how's the Kickstarter, right in the midst of it treating you?
I think it just hit me like a sack of bricks at noon. I've been like drawing like crazy another project and stuff like that, and then finishing up another print for the Kickstarter last night, and hitting this morning and being like, oh man, I have so much social media to do, and then just like right before this podcast, just going nuts. But I don't know, I feel pretty happy about it. Like it's a good start, I think. So it's very, very appreciative to everybody who's already backed, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel super excited, sort of nervous, obviously, it being our first Kickstarter and you want it to do well. So I feel almost pulled like in every direction. We're having this conversation and I'm also like, what's going on? What's going on in the Kickstarter?
It's open right here for me.
Yeah, I know. But we put so much work into it now, and there's nothing really that we can do. So we just have to kind of hope that people will find it and like it as much as we do.
Currently at 15% of goal. Congratulations again, everyone watching. Right here is the link. We have Mama Geekly saying, I will never go into a laundromat again without holy water and a cross. And then she's saying this is so awesome for you guys as well. So let's go ahead and check out some of this Kickstarter. So we have a free print early bird special right here. Who are we seeing right here on the print?
So that's actually when I was talking about that Wilstead book. I think it was for Wilstead, but this was an image I did way earlier, which was like the original likeness of the characters. I said like famous actors.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is like an ink drawing that I found when we were cleaning up the office, and I was like, oh man, we could color that and show it as a print, and that's what that is. So it doesn't look exactly like how they look in the books because it's like an earlier concept.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then all orders placed within the first 72 hours will receive this print. So it'll be available as an add-on though if you missed that opportunity. So let's go ahead and we'll check.
Anyone who's here right now, they can go get it right now.
Yes, and right there is the link. You can get in on that early bird special by backing this within the first 72 hours. So here's a look at some of the interiors. I really loved how you started this series, with action right off the rip. And I was curious too, because we see him yell out, "It's not a warg." What is this creature that he was, he assumed it was at first?
So a warg. The short version of this answer is if you think of the second Lord of the Rings movie, what the orcs are riding through the plains, the almost dog-like creatures. That's a stylization of the traditional warg monster, but it's another 4-legged monster that these guys thought they were hunting, just to be surprised and to find out that page turn, it's a werewolf.
And I loved how, you guys introduced, like, it's not like we need to kill the werewolf. There's a person inside of that, so they're actively trying to capture it, because they want to rescue that person, but that doesn't always go as planned. Here's some more of these interiors as well, and we have Kayla. Where do we go again? Right here is the link if you are interested.
Laundrymen.ca.
Where do we go?
Laundry.ca.
So, how did this creative process look like between you two? When Lyndon, when you were given the script over, did you just let Steven kind of take the wheel, or did you guys have a lot of back and forth on how these panels should fall?
No, generally when we do our creative process, the two of us come up with a story outline together, and then I'll run out and I'll do the script. And in my script process, I don't tell Steven what needs to happen on each panel or how he should arrange his pages. I just give him sort of the emotional beat or the essentials in terms of information that happen, and he has full license to go in and be a better artist, be a better illustrator than I am a visual artist, which he consistently does.
Yeah.
So
sometimes
Steven can take full credit here.
Yeah, sometimes so Lyndon does a pretty tight script, so there are that's kind of how we work, is he gives his first suggestion of page and panel layouts, and for the most part I'll stick to that because man, he knows what he's doing, and I like to be able to take what he's created and actually just pull a full image out of it. But sometimes I'll run into a snag where maybe it's there's too many 5-panel pages in a row, or this needs more panels, or maybe it's I can create more suspense if I put even more panels on this page. And sometimes I'll discuss that with him, but sometimes I know it's not a huge change, so I'll just go ahead with it.
Do it.
But, we'll discuss when it's a problem that needs to be solved that neither of us can solve on our own. So
when you were looking at coming up with the werewolf design, what resources did you pull on when creating your own type?
I didn't. So the resources I had were all the images that I had in my head of werewolves. But I had decided that I wanted, I had this idea that when people draw or create a werewolf, it tends to be very much on the wolf side. So a wolf on its hind legs. But humans are a species as well, and we're a primate or something like that. So I was why couldn't it maybe be have a little bit of a primate kind of vibe to it? So I looked at pictures of gorillas and stuff to kind of design the nose and the shape, and that's why if you look at the cover, which is a really refined image of this guy, he looks quite ape-like, and I wanted to kind of give that vibe to it. So
the fingers and the claws are just so horrifying too. I don't know what it is, but it's creatures with elongated fingers are just terrifying.
I love drawing that knobby knuckles and long fingers. Yeah.
And then we also have some guest art as well. So it looks like we have guest art from Zach. So what are we looking at right here? Is this a print as well, or maybe a cover B?
Yeah, so that page is going to be an interior pinup. It's going to work as an interstitial page between a couple of the issues. It's also going to, we have a colored version of it that's going to be available as a stretch goal. So as we scroll down, you'll see we have some stretch goals available. So if we can hit that, then everyone will be getting this as a print included also. It's also, the original art for that print is also available as one of our mega tiers. So if you really love the book and you really love Zach's art and you want to support us, you can own the one-of-a-kind original art that Zach illustrated for that print too as one of our rewards.
Oh, so Zach, Steve, speaking of that, when you do your illustration, is that traditional or digital?
It's all digital, yeah. Yeah, it's all digital, so I don't have a lot of original art. But that very first, the early bird print, there is an original version of that. I did do that one with pen and ink way back, so yeah.
And that is available, again, as an original mega tier option as a reward for anyone who really loves that art.
Ooh, hold
right
on
here
1 second. Let
beside
me go ahead and give you a solo layout right here.
Oh,
Hold that
I'll
up.
show it to you.
Yeah,
There
yeah,
we go.
yeah. That's
And let's see if
gorgeous.
we can get some
That is
focus.
gorgeous.
Oh yeah, that's my webcam trying to focus on me, but you can kind of see it. There we go. Yeah, so
The AI is
too.
getting too strong. It's like, I know that's not you.
Yeah.
We have Mama Geekly saying, love the illustrations. John W. Part-Time Comics throwing up some rockin' horns, and then Kayla saying, just hearing them talk, you can tell they have a great working relationship. Which can be tough to make. Yeah, you know, the bond you two have is remarkable, seeing how you two work together and we're able to get this done. Mama Geekly saying, looks flipping awesome, and John saying, looking good, guys. So let's check out some of these rewards as well. So these are going to be in Canadian. So what I'll do is I'll give the Canadian and the USD as well. So for $10 Canadian, $8 USD, you can get the digital copy of this. And you guys said that was how many pages?
It's going to be about 80 pages.
Wow. Wow, that is a big bang for your buck for just $10 Canadian, $8 USD. For $20 Canadian, 16 USD, we have the physical book. You'll also get the PDF with that as well. And then we have a sketched edition at 30 Canadian, 23 USD. So what's this sketched edition going to look like?
If you get the sketched edition, I'm going to go in there and draw something cool on the inside cover for you. It'll be random. Well, I'll pick up the book and I'll be like, this is what I'm drawing. It may not even be from the book. But if you've ever been to the table at conventions, something we always do, as well as everybody else really in our comic communities, we'll just draw on the book for you if you want. So, yeah.
And then we have at 80 Canadian, 61 USD, the Infinite Studio comic bundle. Lyndon, can you tell me a little bit about this tier?
Yeah, so this tier contains all the books that Stephen and I have worked on together. It contains The Laundrymen, Infinite Universe, which is our first book. That's a sci-fi action adventure. It has Will Not Last, which is our second book. That is a 4-part anthology with 4 different artists, all written and lettered by me. Stephen's short in it is a standalone story and epilogue to Infinite Universe, so it exists in that realm. It contains stories from artists Christopher Smith, Jim B. Kamichuk, who we mentioned earlier, and Zach Schuster, who did the art on our guest art. The short in there is Hero Man, and that's actually an 8-page preview of a full 110-page graphic novel that should be published next spring 2024. Dead Work is the 4th book in there. That is a 144-page anthology of comics. There's 22 short comics in there spanning various genres. So think fantasy, horror, sci-fi, and genres that I don't actually know the name of. That one is awesome. There's 9 creatives that went in on that. It's all of our comic circle. And if I had to draw a diagram of who worked with who in terms of writing and art, it would look like a spider web. So everyone had a chance to sort of work with everyone else, which was awesome. And then the last thing in there, the 5th book, is When I Get Home, which is a 20-page black and white comic that Stephen and I completed as part of 24-hour Comics Day. So Stephen did almost all of the 20 pages of art for that book in under 24 hours when we were locked in a bar locked into a bar with a couple of local creatives too. So that's the Infinite Studios comic bundle. It's called that because Stephen and I collectively call ourselves Infinite Studio so that we can put out work together.
That's so awesome. And how many pages is this bundle? Rough estimate.
A little bit over 300, I think.
Wow.
300 pages, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. We have John W. Part-Time Comics say for the first tier, 80 pages. That's the Kickstarter value. Yeah, that is a great bang for your buck right there as well. Just the single book. So right now at 120 Canadian, 91 USD, the Laundrymen retail bundle, you'll get 10 physical copies of this for any retail out there. And then now we're getting into some of the more awesome tiers as well. So, Lyndon, I'll let you take off on this Letters, your 6-page comic. And then after that, Stephen, we'll let you take off on the next tier.
Yeah, well, I am a letterer. I won an award in 2020 for favorite letterer from the Sequential Magazine Awards.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you. I've lettered for a series with Virus Comics, which is heavy metal. I've done a number of professional lettering gigs, so I know what I'm doing, and I'd be happy to do someone's 6-page short for the Kickstarter. The person who backs the tier keeps all the rights. I don't get any of that. It's a straight work for hire deal, and I'm more than happy to help someone take their project to the next level.
That is so cool. And then we have at 250 or more Canadian, 188 USD, Steven draw. So Steven, what does this look like for anyone interested in this tier?
That's a commission tier. I, as people may know, I'm very busy with comic art, so I barely ever do commissions. So I'm like, I'll do one for the Kickstarter. And that's literally, if you purchase that tier, you tell me what you want and I'll draw it. Obviously, there's little disclaimers, like nothing inappropriate or illegal, obviously. But yeah, you just let me know and we'll get it done. And then we get a nice, awesome piece of work out of it. And both these tiers do also come with the Laundrymen book one as well. So
cool. And then we have some heavy hitters for the last two. We have a original art mega fan tier for 600 Canadian, 451 USD. So get one of a kind piece of physical art from the book by the guest artist Zach, along with all the Infinite Studio books as well. And there's only going to be one of these tiers available. And then on top of that, we have 600 or more, or 451, the early bird mega fan tier. So what's this tier going to look like? This looks like one hell of a bundle right here.
So that's similar to the tier before. So both tiers are for the original art. So the original art for Zach Schuster's print that you'll see as an interstitial in the book for the first one, and then for the early bird print, that's the original art that I held up a little bit earlier. So you're getting all the books plus the one of a kind original art, and it's a big deal because it's like one of the very few pieces of original art that we have for this book. So. Yeah. And
then we have some add-ons right here. We have Mama Geekly saying, congratulations, draw Alice Cooper. Hey, you can get that done for 200, what was it, 250 Canadian?
Yeah. 250 Canadian.
250, yeah. So you can get that done if you love Alice Cooper that much. And then we have the stretch goals right here. So 2,600 more comics, a 6-page bonus comic that teases Laundrymen Book 2. At $27.50, we have cover upgrade, a thicker cover for a more premium feeling book. At $3,000, the free art print. And then we have some more after that. So, yeah, one hell of a campaign. Everyone watching, be sure to check this out. It is free to share.
And then
so
of course, sorry, I didn't say. And then of course, if the campaign reaches 10,000, we're going to print the entire book in color. So you'll get those color interiors.
And they are gorgeous too. They are gorgeous too. Right there is the link. It is free to put that on Facebook and Twitter. Anywhere you can, word of mouth is 100% free, but please feel free to back. It's just a few days after New Comic Book Day, and this book would look great on your shelf. But that's not it. You guys have another awesome deal too on the website. So anyone that is watching, if you go to this website right here and sign up, you get a free comic just simply for signing up.
Yeah, so that website is infinitestudio.ca/free comic.
And then, when I get home, what type of comic is this?
So that's a short horror comic. That's the 20-page comic that we did in 24 hours. And it's a story about two astronauts that are marooned on a planet. They are not on a planet, on a moon. Their ship crashes right into the caves on this moon. And while trying to figure out how to get home, they have to deal with the ever-increasing dangers and terrifying things that are on this moon. It does focus, Lyndon is really great at dialogue, and it does focus on these guys just longing to go home and what they're trying to get back to, and what they got to deal with going forward.
No, that is awesome. So once again, right here is the link. Be sure to check this out, guys. So after taking a look at the Kickstarter, diving into the tiers and everything in between, what would you like to say to anyone who might be on the fence about backing? Lyndon, if you had just a few seconds to address that to anyone, what would you say to them?
Scott Snyder said that you should back it, so you should back it. We hope to have a couple other blurbs to add to the campaign also as the campaign progresses. So if you remain on the fence, please continue to check back, because we do have some more developments that we hope to be announcing in the near future. But, at the end of the day, this is a book that both Steven and I are crazy about. I would love to make this book go as long as I possibly can. And anytime anyone takes a chance to check it out, I feel fortunate and humbled, and thank you so much for taking a look at it and watching our funny video.
So what about you, Stephen? If you had just a few moments to reach out and convince someone to back this book, what would you say to them?
It's a tight 3-issue length story. It's got a beginning, a middle, and an end. Despite the fact that we want to push this to a series, if you're just looking for an awesome closed story with great characters, crazy monsters, and just something for a Saturday night read, this is the one to get. There's a lot of books on Kickstarter, and usually there's more than one to get, but this is the only one to get. So yeah, it's the one I would say. Yeah.
All right, let's go. So I know you guys mentioned the Laundrymen issue 2 or book 2. What else is up your sleeves for 2023?
Oh man, lots of art, lots of drawing. We do have. I'm in the early stages of the art for Laundrymen book 2. There is, as you saw on the stretch goals, if we go to $2,600 Canadian, there is a 6-page interstitial comic that leads into Laundrymen book 2, and those characters show up a little bit later. But yeah, 2023 is all about finishing Laundrymen book 2, and provided everybody likes book 1, we want to get book 2 into your hands as soon as you'll let us. So yeah,
let's go.
To speak for Stephen, you also have another book that you'll be putting out.
So, I got Laundrymen on the brain right now. Yeah, just last week I finished all the art for Dirk Dirksen versus the Demons from Mars, which is an awesome, hilarious, almost sitcom-esque horror comic written by Jonathan Ball, a friend of ours, lettered by Lyndon Radchenka, and with the art by me. And that's a story about a Polish immigrant who's come to America to start his hat empire, only to find that America's been overrun by literal demons from Mars. And through a comedy of errors and a series of events, he learns that he is the demon warrior, and he's the chosen one to take down these demons. And so it's all about the characters in from there. And it's the art. I mean, I just finished it last week, but the art is so cool. I went really hard on the colors. It's got this Jim Starlin thing going on. It's really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But Lyndon, what about you? I know we just heard you're going to be lettering another project. Was there anything else you're going to be doing scripts for or letters for?
Yes. So Stephen, like Stephen said, we're working on book 2 right now. I'm just about done the script for book 2, so I'm going to be starting on the script for book 3, which is issues 7 to 9. Stephen and I are working on a second sci-fi series called There Was Another Life that we're going to be finishing. The script is done. We're going to be doing the art and the letters for probably throughout the year. We have the first issue available at tables, so if you come find us at a convention, we can sell you the first issue. I also have a book coming out with Zach Schuster in early 2024 called Hero Man. So we're going to be putting the finishing touches on that series. And then I have a series, a handful of short comics that I'm working on with various collaborators. And the hope is that we love to work with each other enough that we can put out a longer book for any of those. And then I'm working on a book with my friend Christopher Smith, who has shorts in Dead Work and What Will Not Last. And we're plugging away at that right now too, but I don't know what our timeline is for that book to be out. So I'm not going to oversell on that one. So, the nice thing about being a writer is you can keep your fingers in a bunch of different pies at once. It's not like Stephen where you have to focus on one book at a time.
Yeah.
So,
and I'll just add something. I'll just add something for Dirk. Dirk Dirksen, if that did sound really good to you, the first 8 pages are actually in Dead Work. So you can add that book onto your Kickstarter purchase or get it straight from infinitestudio.ca. But yeah, those for the first 8 pages, which in itself is like a short comic. It does have a beginning, middle, and end, so you can really get a feel for the book. But those are in Dead Work. So if you want to check that out, it's there.
All right. So thank you both for swinging by, breaking down the Laundrymen and everything in between. Before we get ready to take this load out of the washer, let's go ahead and ask you for a little bit of advice for anyone who might be interested in starting comics for the first time. So for anyone out there looking to get into the art side of things for you, Stephen, or maybe the script or lettering side of things for you, Lyndon, what advice would you have for them to kind of help them just get, jump started on their journey?
For me, it's as an illustrator, it's just finish the work. If you have something in front of you, stop obsessing over every perfect little detail. And
So hard to
just,
do.
Yeah, and just get it done. In my opinion, comics isn't about absolute perfection, because your work of art is the book. It's not every little eyeball in it. So get that done, and then also start looking around in your local community for the little comics community that's hovering around there, because everybody wants to help each other. And if you can find them, you all what is it? So, Lyndon's got a line about the ladder or something like that. Throw the ladder down. I don't know what that is.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, all ships rising, sinking ships.
Oh, the rising tide lifts
Yeah.
all boats.
There you
That's
go.
it. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
I don't know where the ladder would come in, you know.
Always throw the ladder down behind you.
Yeah.
Lower the ladder down behind you.
Yeah, a community, just everybody throws ropes and ladders down for everybody. So.
I'm thinking like surfing the wave on the ladder, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
So,
Like the
Lyndon, for
Titanic.
anyone who's interested in script writing or lettering, you know, what would you offer them?
First, start doing it. Something that Stephen and I learned early on is that you need to finish things before people are going to take you seriously. So finish things. Stay humble, which is that you're always going to be learning. I guess I could change that with always be learning. Surround yourself with people that are doing the things that you want to do, because you are the amalgamation of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So if you are surrounded by people that never finish anything, you're not going to finish anything. And, you know, one of the things that I like, that I was told at one point, and I don't know how true it is or not, but I like to pretend that it is if there is something that you want, find someone who's done it, look at how they did it, and then say and then do those things.
Mm-hmm. No, I like
Whatever
that. Yeah, I like that a lot, and I think, you know, doing that, it helps set up, you know, an achievable roadmap. You like mentally, you're teaching yourself like, hey, this can be done. This is the steps they took. You know, and I think really putting yourself in that mindset like really will help you want to achieve it a little bit more. No, that's awesome. I mean, I'm thinking here, you know, I'm sitting here, I'm like, man, my chicken scratching, I need to get better at lettering. But I'm so much a perfectionist. I'm like, wow, I'm gonna have to do a lot of writing. No, that is awesome. So, Stephen, Lyndon, thank you both for swinging by, keeping it geekly with us. Everyone watching, right here is the link. Be sure to check it out. Right there is for the free comic, and right here is for the Kickstarter. Right now, we are leaving at a whopping pledge level. Let me refresh this. $417 USD, 10 backers. So, man, that is awesome. We just jumped up to 447, 11 backers. Let's go. Congratulations, guys. Excuse me. We have Aaron Avley saying, great interview. Mama Geekly throwing, nice interview. Take care. Stay safe. Keep going. Everyone watching, have a fantastic Saturday. Most importantly, guys, keep it geekly.